All hail, Liberia, hail, all hail, Liberia, hail. This glorious land of liberty shall long be ours. Though new her name, great be her fame, and mighty be her power. Though new her name, great be her fame, and mighty be her power. And mighty be her power, and mighty be her power. 1, 2, 3, 4, enjoy. And gladness with our hearts united, we'll shout the freedom of our rights united. Long live Liberia, happy land, this home of glory, liberty of God's command. This home of glory, liberty of God's command. All hail, Liberia, hail, all hail, Liberia, hail. This glorious land of liberty shall long be.
Sister, listen to this story. The story of one woman who got her children one morning. Hey, she said, my children, I am going to the market. She got only the older son. She said, when you come back from school, tell your junior brother and you food to the house. When you finish, you take the basket to the market. She said, come and carry the food stuff. She said, come and carry the food stuff. She told them, you will have to be careful. I am the only one taking care of you. Since your father died in the war, yeah, I am the only one taking care of you. My people, this woman went to the market. As she was about to cross the motor road, hey, how can I this woman down? So many people rush at this woman. Hey, they rush this woman to the hospital. But before they would get to the hospital, this woman was gone. Yeah, untimely death. The woman have not reaped the benefit of her children. Okay, when Johnny came from school, he finished it. Oh, he told his brethren, he said, look, I am going to the market. Please, you have to be careful at home. When Johnny got close to the market, my people, so many people were calling him. Hey, he said, Johnny, Johnny, come. Johnny, Johnny, come. This is the celestial. I am not a fatherless child. Jehovah, who will take care of me? Untimely death is not my portion. My brother, me, I will never die. I will live to fulfill my days on earth, man. I will never die before my time. I say, wish God, hear me now. I am the apple of Jehovah's eyes. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Oh yes, I must live to fulfill my days. Oh, I will never die. Untimely death. I will never die. Untimely death. Oh yes. My brother, my sister, there is no need to worry. I'd like you to know, my brethren, that Jehovah Jireh is working in your favor. Hey, He will never allow your enemies never to triumph over you. Jehovah will trouble the troublers of your life. He will put your enemy to shame this year. Every hope they have done for you, my brethren, I tell you, they will fall into their own holes, man. You will never die, man. Until you're dead. You will never die. Until you're dead. You will fulfill your days on planet Earth. Until you're dead. Until you're dead. Until you're dead.
Good afternoon, good evening to the motherland of the Republic of Liberia. I'm Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your Sunday mornings, your Sunday afternoon, the Sunday evening with us, wherever you are, depending on your location. We say thank you for joining us here this beautiful Sunday morning. I know Liberia will be observing the birth anniversary of President Joseph Jenkins Rabot, but that's not going to be the point of discussion here this afternoon, this morning. It's time check here. It's 10:45 Eastern Standard Time from the East Coast of Rhode Island here in the USA. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners joining us. President Renzo Wright, Mr. Atot Dweji Suyans is in the nation's capital. I believe he's in Monrovia. And all of you that are following us here this morning and evening hour, we say thank you for being part of this program. Well, to date, we intend to declare a unilateral ceasefire in terms of having politics because there is a major health issue that has been declared by the World Health Organization, WHO, as pandemic, in which all of us as citizens, media outlets, individuals, organizations, institutions must be able to take the lead to create some sort of awareness to our people and have enough information as possible as we can as we pull this out from experts in the healthcare industry. We want to say here at LPR, an African Star newspaper, that this pandemic is real and we all must do everything possible that we can to take heed to follow the instructions and protocols from health professionals and international organizations as how we can minimize the spread of this deadly virus. And so, it's not just on the national government as well, but we as citizens, individuals, and institutions must be able to create this sort of scenario. Where is this disease coming from? How it originated? Well, NBC, its investigative angle, Richie Angle, is all out to seek answers. And from I want to say here vehemently that we are much happy that the government of Liberia and authority at the National Health Institute are also taking some steps in a bid to curtail or minimize the spread. The virus is already been reported in Guinea, as we were just on air here. We're getting more reports of this virus being spread globally. We reached out with the Ministry of with the Health Institute, and I'm happy that they responded. But we are waiting to see if we can have a conversation with Dr. Fala, who is the acting director of the institute as a health institute. And the measures so far been put in place, we want to say is welcoming, but we want to dive into that in much more here. But let me just we'll try to get these videos out to just create or to give you the public awareness as people, as institutions from here, from the Liberia Public Radio, to also add to the many voices out there with respect to this. It's very, very much unprecedented what is unfolding. Well, like I said, NBC Richie Angle is all out there trying to trace the origins of this deadly virus. I want you to sit back, and we'll also bring you a video steps taken by the government of Liberia, the Institute of Public Health, in their own ways with the limited resources to minimize this. But let's first watch this exclusive by NBC Richie Angle in a search to find out the source where this deadly virus from. I am Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Stay tuned with me this Sunday morning, 10:48 a.m. Eastern Standard Time from the ocean state of Rhode Island. Stay tuned. I will be right back.
Outside central Singapore is an animal research lab where scientists have isolated the purest form of the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 and keep it locked under the strictest of security.
So now we're going into the main lab, and inside this lab here is where we keep the live virus.
The live viruses?
The live virus,
so
yes.
The most dangerous things that you have at this facility?
Exactly. This is the virus that was isolated from the sick patients, and now it's housed in this lab here.
Australian Dr. Danielle Anderson is one of the world's top virologists with 20 years work in the field and at America's most prestigious universities.
What surprised you about this virus?
The spread of this is really, really surprising. We've seen outbreaks in the past. We think we know what we're doing. And so for me, it's a really, really big surprise.
Why is it spreading so quickly?
So it seems that it's extremely contagious, and it's not airborne, but it is contagious.
Dr. Anderson took me to another part of the facility to show me where the virus came from. Bats gathered in China for food. A vet here captured one, and in a containment cage, she showed it to me.
And why bats? How confident are you that the coronavirus came from bats?
So I'm probably 90% confident that the new coronavirus came from bats.
The initial contamination, she says, likely happened here at a filthy animal market in Wuhan, China. Someone there, she believes, butchered a bat, came into contact with its blood or urine, and then touched his or her mouth or nose. We know the rest. Outbreaks still spreading around the world. In South Korea, they're disinfecting public transport. In China, authorities promise to crack down hard on the wildlife trade, and they're preparing to take containment to a new level. This video shows security forces training to capture a suspected infected person, a sign of what could be coming.
Do you think it's going to keep spreading?
I think that it is heading towards becoming a pandemic, yes. We have to work hard for a vaccine and learn to live with the virus, and I think it's just going to become part of our life.
Richard Engel, NBC News, Singapore.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Outside central Singapore is an animal research lab where scientists have isolated the purest form of the coronavirus.
Folks, there you have it. Extraordinary, what we call investigative journalism, investigative report. Going to the source of this whole thing here, Richard Angles of NBC, going in depth, the origins of this whole virus here. That's to give you a clue exactly how these things comes about. It's just not a miracle. It's not just something unfolded. I want to welcome Chairman Antonin Banya-Gwain of right here in my own ocean state of Rhode Island, and our dear brother Vay Conan say he's watching from provincial city of Zordru, Grange, the County, Republic of Liberia. Doris Quay is also joining us from Phoenix, Arizona here. And this morning, we intend to declare unilateral ceasefire, but we find it very difficult because our whole surrounding is also embedded with politics, and so it would be unfair to have it exclusively. But we're going to hold people responsible, including ourselves, what we are doing as a people, as an institution, in helping for the disseminations of this virus here, because we also have a full responsibility. So we're going to be doing that. During the week, Liberia Public Radio and the African Star newspaper jointly issue a commentary. I also sounding an alert, adding to the many voices of the international community and the world leaders as well with respect to this pandemic. It is our own way of inserting ourselves into this national health discourse, which is also posing national security and economic stagnations across the globe. LPRs and African Star newspaper jointly issued this commentary, courtesies of the Liberia Public Radio and the African Star newspaper. I will be right back.
This is a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in Africa. The global pandemic, known as COVID-19 and commonly referred to as the coronavirus, is threatening nations and economies across the board. For now, the pandemic is wreaking havoc in Western Europe, including Iran. Symptoms of the illness include high fever, dry cough, muscle ache, tiredness, and shortness of breath, which set on after 2 to 14 days exposure to the virus. It is believed that the outbreak epicenter is in the Chinese provincial city of Wuhan, as far back as October-November 2019, when the first patients started exhibiting signs of infection. However, the Chinese authorities tried to suppress reports of the outbreak and denied global authorities the opportunity to initiate early surveillance and containment of the virus. Unfortunately, we are where we are today. Africa is at a real risk. If the virus contamination explodes, thousands of people will get very sick and many will die. The country of Italy has adopted extreme containment measures of closing down the country except for pharmacies and supermarkets. The United States has imposed entry restrictions on most European countries after the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, disclosed that 44 states have confirmed cases of the coronavirus. Most developed countries like the United States and in Europe are struggling to adequately contain the spread and are preparing for worst-case scenarios where thousands and perhaps millions of people become infected and head to medical facilities. This scenario will completely overwhelm their medical facilities. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has indicated that she believes that about 70% of Germans may be infected. Trading on the world major stock market indices are facing serious volatility shock and causing economic uncertainty. Schools are closing and non-essential travel and meetings are being canceled by some companies. African Star and Liberia Public Radio are concerned about the measures adopted by most African countries to respond and contain the pandemic. The stress indicators from the most developed countries and their medical systems point to a need for concern, and undoubtedly, most African nations appear to be ill-prepared if an outbreak should occur. In most African countries, adequate awareness campaigns for basic preventive hygiene, medical facility capabilities, and availability of trained personnel are unknown or woefully inadequate. Although spared from the harsh consequences of the spread of the global pandemic so far, Africa has a duty to fully protect its citizens and fight this disease in collaboration with the international community. This can be achieved through adopting a strategic plan for the worst-case scenario and seeking international assistance and technical help to position the continent to blunt the impact of the disease. African leaders and influential persons must lend their voices to awareness campaigns, personally assure the citizens of support, and make tough decisions on how resources are allocated to fight the disease. Governments must immediately begin the task of infection and prevention and control measures for public transport and places like buses, offices, air and sea vessels, markets, restaurants, etc. Since the capacities of African governments are limited, blanket media campaigns will help to effectively sensitize and inform citizens about preventive measures. In the event of infection, Citizens must know the protocol of how and where to go without spreading the infection. The World Health Organization, the WHO, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, recommend the following steps to stay healthy. Avoid cheek kissing or shaking hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Wash your hands more often for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. And avoid visiting hospitals and other medical facilities unless you need medical care. Stay home if you are feeling unwell and cover your cough or sneeze in a napkin. If a napkin is not available, cough or sneeze into the crook of your elbow and then wash your hands after. And clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces and objects with soap and water. Containment of the coronavirus should be the key priority of leaders in Africa. Government resources should be reallocated to effectively prevent infection, including control measures. African Star and Liberia Public Radio support a united and global front to defeat the global pandemic, and we will do all in our powers to sensitize our people in the diaspora and Africa. This has been a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to stop the spread of the coronavirus in Africa.
All right, there you have it. That's part of our own initiative and involvement into this deadly epidemic that has been declared by the WHO, that's the World Health Organizations, and global leaders. This is to show of our own concern to not just being I want to be an actor into this whole thing here. It is serious, and we over this network, we want to make sure to join it with the African Star newspaper and the Liberia Public Radio to have a genuine conversations about this pandemic. It is real. We all have a full and shared responsibility to ensure whatever resources in terms of information how to curtail the spread of this virus. We must do everything possible we can, and this is why this commentary was first initiated, first and foremost, by us. You can go to Liberia Public Radio, a YouTube channel where you can also subscribe to be able to get news alert whenever or anytime updates and live broadcasts is being aired, whether from the Philadelphia main studio to the Sacramento or here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. Beyond that, we are reached with authorities in Liberia, the Health Institute of Liberia, Dr. Fala, and we are happy that they were able to even respond, but we are still anticipating to have a conversation with them as well. Like we say, initial measures has been put in place by the government of Liberia in a bid to combat this deadly virus in the event it suffers death. So far, there is no authentic report of anyone being diagnosed or a case being reported is widely being reported in other countries across the globe. What we managed to obtain this video, courtesy of the Institute of Public Health in Liberia, of Liberia's own preparedness or readiness for this deadly virus. Take a look at this video and I will be right back.
With experiences from the massive effects of the Ebola outbreak that pillaged the West African nation Liberia, the country is galvanizing all efforts to institute measures for the global healthcare nightmare, the coronavirus outbreak known as COVID-19. As COVID-19 continues to spread in sub-Saharan Africa, the Liberian Airport Authority, in collaboration with the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, NPHIL, and the Ministry of Health, MOH, has instituted measures to ensure that people accessing Liberia main international airports are screened for symptoms related to the novel coronavirus.
We have mandatory washing of hands for both the inbound and outbound of our terminal, and that is not just limited to passengers. It's also include our workers, anyone flying the terminal, people around. By the time you come in, you have to make sure you wash your hands before getting in there. That is the first measure we put in place.
We have initiated enhanced screening at the airport. Initially, when we had international rigs, we realized that the point of highest rigs for an imported case will be the airport, so it's launched since the 25th of January, enhanced screening of all travelers.
Coronaviruses, COV, are a large family of viruses that cause illness ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases such as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS-CoV, and severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV. A novel coronavirus nCoV is a new strain that has been previously identified in humans. Public perception of the healthcare system and the doubting of local people that there was an Ebola outbreak in Liberia in 2014 resulted in a high number of people infected with the Ebola virus then. But it seems that this may not be the case with coronavirus.
No, now I'm confident. With this setup, there's absolutely no way Corona can pass here.
I think our preparedness is based on the fact that we've experienced Ebola, and of course, nobody needs to teach us, So I'm impressed with the Ministry of Health, NPHIL, and Liberian collaboratively willingness to ensure that this disease doesn't infiltrate in our territory.
I'm just impressed with what I'm seeing in Liberia now. I was worried when I heard of the coronavirus. Looking at what we suffered during Ebola, we were not very much prepared. So my worry has been how we prepare. So I'm actually surprised with what I'm seeing. I think it's something that impressed us, we the travelers, and those that are even thinking about coming and worrying about what they are going to meet and what they are going to see.
I've just come in and I'm very impressed with what I saw. The testing at the beginning and the washing of hands.
The growing positive public perception of the response is also showing that Liberia is ahead in ensuring adequate readiness for the viral disease that is currently plaguing the world.
I think Liberia has taken a good step in the right direction to have everyone wash their hands with soap upon entering the country. I think that's a good step.
Yeah, this is very good, very good. I mean, they're taking a lot of precautions.
Our resilience is higher, we are more prepared, and I want to use this opportunity to commend both the airport authority and our health authorities for the measures. The coronavirus is very serious and we have to take it seriously. So I'm pleased that I entered this airport, and unlike other airports I've just traveled, there is a rigorous training exercise. I think this is good and we should all submit to it.
The response mechanism instituted to ensure Liberia detects any case at its earliest stage possible goes beyond just temperature check and hand washing at the airport.
In the process of going through the temperature check, when we found out that you need to be referred, we have a container that we prepare. Both Dr. Fala and I, we prepare air-conditioned for reference, and we have the ambulances and others, health workers who are on the standby, who are also willing to receive those.
From the nation's capital of Liberia, Monrovia, that's the Roberts International Airport outside the city, that is in the belt of Mount Gibbet County, Habel area there. Measures been instituted by the National Institute of Public Health, and that is the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Health, Republic of Liberia. Fair to mention, we must give government the kudos for despite of the limited resources, to initiate measures that are intended to keep security. Security, that doesn't necessarily mean police presence is arresting person, no, or armed robbery. Medical issues such as epidemic is a national security. You see what is unfolding across the globe. And so we must give the government the kudos. But we in the media industry, or ordinary citizens for that matter, we all have physical responsibility to ensure that we create a public awareness as well. And for us here at Liberia Public Radios and the African Star newspaper, we take that very, very seriously. Moving forward, as the entire globe is engulfed with this pandemic, we'll do everything possible to bring you information to see for yourself, to show that this is real. And we have to communicate this with our people, and all of us must be involved in this initiative. It's life and death. It is real. Avoid shaking hands. Listen to your healthcare provider protocols. Listen to news. Let's minimize these partying and other things that are not beneficiary. This is unprecedented to see what is happening, and this is why we are all out there to make sure to bring it to you. We just do not want to be pass information, but we want you to see it for yourself visually, that it is real and it is happening globally. We will be having all of these discussion here. A little politics going to be mixed into it because our today's life surrounding is embedded in politics, and so we're going to be talking about it. But at the same time, we want to hold ourselves responsible as individuals and ordinary citizens, institutions, organizations all over. What are we doing? Are we talking about it, or are we just worrying about elections? God forbid if there was anything in Liberia. I just got a news alert here, courtesy of the Associated Press, Mauritania, Guinea, and all of these countries. For so far, we have not heard anything about Liberia. But the process, or the process being initiated by authorities in Liberia, we must also commend it. It's a good step forward, but we all have to give it a full support. But we're going to come into it later on, where we're going to frown on politicians, and this is something where national leaders and those that are in charge must take some decision to ensure that people are safe, and safety come first. I don't care what you do, people are going to talk about it. But let's dive into a little bit this whole coronavirus and all its origins, where it came from. International cable wire investigative reporters are all out there to ensure to bring this information live and real. Let's listen to this story.
This video was filmed at a hospital in Wuhan, the center of the coronavirus epidemic.
当殡仪馆这里面10袋，刚才我照给你们看了，现在又多了。刚才3个，现在我数一下啊，10袋，1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，有8个。
And this is footage of a hospital under construction.
这并不适合传染病人居住。
Behind the camera are 2 vloggers who have become sensations in China. Fang Bin is a resident of Wuhan, and Chen Shexie, a human rights lawyer. The 2 vloggers, who are known in China as citizen journalists, published unfiltered video reports as the crisis unfolded in late January and early February, scenes that haven't appeared in China's tightly controlled state media.
大家一定要行动起来，要传播。
But they stopped posting videos in early February. Fellow activists and relatives said they have disappeared.
帮我个忙，帮我找找邱氏。
Chen's mother posted a video saying she wasn't able to contact her son. According to a friend, the police told Chen's father that his son was held in quarantine. Activists say neighbors of Fang saw uniformed and plainclothes police officers take him away. The activists haven't seen him since. Even if their images were only available online for days or even hours, China experts say it is unusual for Beijing authorities to let this form of open criticism appear before censoring content or clamping down on its creators. Many citizens have spoken up, from doctors and nurses to people stuck at home and patients.
里面又没有厕所，又没有药吃。
challenging the official narrative of hospitals being speedily built from scratch and armies of volunteers orderly working to contain the epidemic. So how are these videos critical of authorities getting out into the public? Beijing officials have said there is a genuine desire to promote accurate information about the epidemic and block false reports that could increase panic. Nonetheless, the anger in China came to a tipping point late January after people accused local authorities of trying to cover up what was happening.
People was not informed in the 3 to 4 weeks. What we have witnessed is the revolt of the Chinese people.
Bao Pu publishes books from Hong Kong on topics that are censored by Beijing. He says people grew frustrated when they saw the healthcare system was overwhelmed by the coronavirus, especially after the SARS epidemic that took nearly 800 lives in 2002 and 2003.
People generally expect the government have learned the lessons of the SARS epidemic, so they should have set up various mechanisms to prevent that from ever happening.
Pu says the speed at which the criticism piled up online might be too hard for China's censorship apparatus to manage, and that is one reason Chinese citizens have managed to share content online. Tens of millions have been stuck at home, leading to a surge in the number of people reading and using social media. Another explanation, according to researchers, might be that in this situation, Beijing needs information to keep flowing.
Because this is a health crisis, people also need to talk about, supplies and access, and they need to be able to discuss this. Otherwise, they're kind of stuck at home when quarantine zone becomes really insufferable. So they can't completely censor all discussions.
Maria Repnikova analyzes how Beijing censors its citizens and says she believes the government intentionally opened the doors to criticism.
It's useful in some ways to learn about what's happening while it's only the early stages of the crisis. The state officials at the local central level still don't quite know what are the bigger issues, what are the big frustrations. So it's kind of a way to get public opinion on this, try to understand the grievances and then respond to them.
Repnikova has interviewed over 100 Chinese journalists and officials about big crises like mining disasters or the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. She noticed there's a limited window of opportunity for journalists to cover these events and citizens to complain. Repnikova says during the Sichuan earthquake, the government started to tape mouths shut when journalists reported that poorly built schools had contributed to the deaths of hundreds of children. In Wuhan, Fang Bin was able to publish 33 videos in 16 days on YouTube. One video he posted online shows that he had run-ins with people who identified themselves as local health officials, who wanted to check Fang's health because he had visited a hospital. Fang said the men confiscated his computer and phone, then drove him to the outskirts of the city to continue questioning him. Activists say he disappeared a week later. A Chinese diplomat was asked about Fang during a TV interview.
So I believe the relevant authorities and departments in China, the legal departments, are dealing with the case in accordance with law.
我是害怕，我前面是病毒，我后边是中国的法律和行政力量。
Authorities have made no public statement about Chen's disappearance or Fang's whereabouts. The disappearance of both men in early February happened around the time when the death toll in China came closer to surpassing the one from SARS. This is also approximately when Beijing began ramping up efforts to create a new narrative that things were under control. Even though Chinese officials have continually offered assurances that the epidemic is being successfully managed, state-controlled media have now put the blame on local authorities for a slow response to contain the outbreak in Wuhan, while praising central authorities for quickly pouring resources into the center of the crisis.
In many ways, crises are also opportunities for political systems to come out as the winners or victors or, kind of as being in charge of the state of affairs.
About a month after the disappearance of Chen and Fang, health officials said the number of new infections had fallen dramatically in China. Authorities reported new infections in double digits, down from hundreds of cases a day. The outcry on Chinese social media, even if short-lived, shows that many people in the country don't buy the government's message that the crisis is under control. This video was filmed at a hospital in Wuhan, the center of the coronavirus epidemic.
当殡仪馆这里面丝带，刚才我照给你们看了，现在又多了。刚才3个，现在我数一下啊，丝带，1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，有8个。
And this is footage of a hospital under construction.
这并不适合传染病人居住。
Behind the camera are 2 vloggers who have become sensations in China.
Well, folks, we want to bring you this news alert that we have just received here through some of our subscriptions with International Thai Cable Wire news outlet. News just coming in from the African News that is just confirming here, according to what I'm just receiving, coronavirus, 26 African countries now affected, cases rising. While we are on air, this is a news alert we just received yet from the African News Bureau here. Subscriptions in order to keep up to date and speed of what is unfolding. This is unprecedented. 26 African countries now affected, including 80 countries globally affected with this pandemic here. This is rare. I am Afonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV, keeping track of what is unfolding to bring it right before your very eyes. I will be right back. We're going to take this quick commercial commitment from some of our sponsors, and I will be right back.
Hello, how you doing? This is Uncle Musa, the owner of Uncle Musa Grocery in Philadelphia. The first store is Uncle Musa Grocery, Philadelphia, 6523 Wallen Avenue. And Uncle Musa Urban Faction, 6519 Wallen Avenue. And Uncle Musa Grocery, 804 Gallery Road, Upper Darby, Philadelphia. We carry all African products, food, clothing, mostly Liberian food. If you need anything from Liberia, just call Uncle Musa Grocery. You can go to Google. If you say Uncle Musa Grocery, Google will take you ahead to show you where to get us. So whatever you need from Liberia, if you go to any Uncle Musa Grocery, we will make sure you get what you want. And if you want to send rest to Liberia, we will send rest to Liberia and deliver to your family. They don't need to pick it up. And if you decide for them to pick up to our store in Monrovia too, we have a store in Cow Factory. You can pick it up there, but mostly we deliver rice to your family member, and we send money to Liberia. All over the world, we send money. So welcome to Uncle Musa Grocery anytime. I will make sure all my workers and myself, we have a very good customer service. You'll be taken care of the way you want it. And we have a clothes from Dubai, India and China. We carry all that. We carry lappers, very good lappers. Quality one from Holland. Whatever you want from Uncle Musa Grocery or Uncle Musa Urban Faction,
yes,
you can get it.
This is Uncle Musa and Grocery Enterprise here. And I mean, is well equipped with a lot of goods, African goods, anything you want, you know, especially many supplies that we have for our programs in the church community. We've been having a lot of programs, especially community gathering, fundraising program. We get all our goods here, anything we want. And so African goods like cassava leaf, potato grain, those are the things that we use, you know, for our African program here. So we get everything here. And so especially you bring in a lot of supply for our church program, a lot of instruments from Africa, salsa, samba, and even the motor pencils and everything from Africa. We get everything here. Even the lappers and other material that the women in the church get.
Folks.
We get everything from his
some
store.
of our sponsors.
So his
here
store is well equipped with
Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to say a big thank you to Uncle Musa Grocery right there in Philadelphia. So, a lot is unfolding here when we intend to bring those news bit by pieces as they continues to come in here. It is extremely important because something is quite fascinating. I remember during the Ebola, I talked to a lot of people in Liberia. I was privileged to interview the Minister of Information at the time, Gawalat Louise Brown, the country resident representative of UN at the time, and ordinary citizen. But because of lack of information, the ability for people to get the real information, citizenry, people were confused. And out of ignorance, to the extent you talk to some people, some of the things that they were talking quite bizarre and quite interesting. They were saying that it was Helen Johnson Sirleaf. They were questioning Wells and all of that. All because information was inflowing. And certain people wasn't doing their job, including some of our colleagues in the media industry. See the beauty of media, the report by Rachel Angot of NBC and all of these cable news outlets, going to the source, bringing it. That's the sort of investigation, that's the sort of professional reporting that we need in Africa as well. Don't just talk about it. When you talk about it, try to exhibit something, show something for the people to be convinced. And we must be patient. And you see how the government of China tried to keep this and they were downplaying it. But because of the aggressive act of reportings of the media industry, it was able to surface. See where we are today. And so this is real. This is real. We want to call on the government of Liberia to take some stringent and hard, tough measures to ensure. Look at this country. It's battling schools shut down, businesses and everything shut down completely. This is unprecedented. UK and Ireland have already been added. While we were still on here, we're getting the news like here. South Africa has evacuated over 121 persons accompanied by the South African Defense Force from China to bring in their citizens and all of that. So this is real. This is not a play. It is time the opposition, the impositions, the government to take strong action. And this is where the discouraging part is saying, and that's what I told you, politics to some extent will be embedded into this. I haven't seen all of these people who want to even be senators and for them to come up with a definitive position to tell their supporters to avoid this crowdedness. A couple of days ago, I saw people at the CDC headquarters and all the places there chanting opposition is bringing coronavirus. This is a sort of a deception that is ongoing. This is ridiculous. They need to set an example. And I believe, Director, that's what I can't wait to talk to Director Fala of the Institute of Public Health of Liberia. And the government should give full backing. This is not about politics. This is real. God forbid, see what is unfolding in this country. We do not want that. We went through a turmoil during the Ebola crisis in Liberia. And these great nations with all of the expertise and medical know-how still struggling. I just listened to news just yesterday, now more or less something that with a quick result. God forbid, what happens? Will you talk about Darius Dillon, this person and that person becoming a senator? That country will be dead. And so we expect a cohesive force, both the government and the opposition. The need to disengage the unnecessary assembling and chanting. This is a time for a national cause. There must be a one purpose to combat this deadly virus. Donald Trump is no nonsense man. It's not like Bill Clinton or maybe George Bush. He's dealing with his own thing right here now. See what Italy is shut down. You listen to what happened in France and Spain yesterday. Some of you don't even monitor news. And that's how people are caught unaware of things. They will be talking about curfew. You don't know, you jump or you say you go in. People now are facing arrest if you are found in the street in Italy without any genuine cause. We need to do, if Africa is already infected, Ghana is already infected, Guinea is already there, the probability of Liberia is real. This is nothing we want to sugarcoat. Who knows what is in there? But because we have not had a test, they have not administered, just besides doing the temperature test, it's insufficient. But we also understand because of the limited resources. And this is where all of us, we as Liberians, it must be a national cost. If I was the president of the Republic of Liberia, maybe Tana data, people will not like it. And they will say to all certain number of gathering. We see it happening here. Some states, not more than 200, not more than 150, but stringent measures have been instituted. They need to stop all unnecessary and foolish rallies in that country as we speak. Because this is how things spread. People going and coughing in one another's faces, sneezing in one another's faces because they don't even have the handkerchief. If they even have it, it's already contaminated. They have it, they wipe their face, the virus go in there, they put it in their pocket, and they see somebody, they hug them, they shake their hand. That person going and passing it on and on and on and on, and then the entire country will be polluted. So I think it is time that the President of the Republic of Liberia to take some stringent measures and to work with healthcare professionals to make sure this is not a joke. If you can have more than 300 airlines to be shut down now between USA and Europe, do you think these people want for no reason to pose strains on their economy? You know how many when airline lands on a port and how long it stays to go? You know how much dividends and revenue it brings into the country? But for them to do that for 30 days, it means the security of the country comes first. And security does not necessarily mean police or the army are going to arrest people or physical war is being fought using guns. Wars can be in different forms and shape. This time is health war. People are dying. Do you think they want to shut down schools for no reason? Do you think businesses just want to be shutting down? It's not a play. So we have to call it as it is. It's nothing to sugarcoat. And I hope people will rally around the government. And that's why we are interested in talking to authorities. But we are happy of the little baby steps despite of the limited resources. And I was just monitoring a businessman called Jack Moll of China arrived in South Africa just today morning hour because of a little time interval. As carried consignments of testing equipment. And what I'm hearing from what we are getting from the news, South Africa is willing to extend hand to countries in Africa to enhance the combat against this deadly epidemic has been declared by the World Health Organization. And I hope our government and the people of Liberia will rally around. This is not about this coronavirus. It doesn't know sedition from Liberty Party, ALP, or Unity Party partisan. So for those of you so drowned in this politics business of support, where are the advocacy people in the community? Are they educating Liberians? Are they educating their supporters as to how to go about to do it, to avoid, to minimize? Yet we're still talking about politics. We're still talking about who to be senatorial when everybody is dead and gone. Who's going to be senator or who's going to be president? Will you lead a country of skeletons? I don't think so. And so moving forward, we here at Liberia Public Radios and the African Star newspaper, we will aggressively do everything possible we can within our reach with the limited resources that we have to create that public health awareness. Where are the Liberian community leadership in the USA? What are they doing? Are they communicating with the people, or we still gathering and we're taking it for joke? The people in this country are taking necessary precautions. If you go to some states, you monitor news of those who don't monitor, you need to start downloading some of these free apps to know what's going on around your to be cognizant of your surroundings. Basic needs are going out, are running off into different stores, and they are being shut down. Where is our community leaders? Where all these tons and proliferations of organizations that we have had? We get in this place, where are they? What sort of public announcements, what sort of outreach are they giving to their people to be aware? Because I know for sure we are Liberian, we are very defiant. The only thing Liberian can run away from is rain. Gun is firing, they want to know where that bullet is coming from. That's how silly we are. The people of this country, they are taking all necessary measures to make sure that they are protected. The entire world is in, this is unprecedented. And believe me, America has its own problem. Italy, UK, and all of these developed countries, they are struggling how to provide and how to deal with their own citizens and how to deal with the crisis. We don't want to see this go into our land because they will not have time for that. And you can't blame them. I can't even handle my own problem. You expect me to reach out to you? So that's the very first thing we must put in the back of our minds, how serious it is. I was talking to one of my aunt and I asked her, we're going for a convention in Grand Gita. Going Grand Gita where? Is that time for meeting? Are they not hearing what is happening? Are they not monitoring news, or is just the same deliberate act of defiance of people when they are talking serious things? The people still downplay it, and at the end of the day, to shift blame, to hold people responsible? We can't let it go like that. I know it sounds so ridiculous Sunday morning here this morning, but sometimes we have to do it. We have to say it as it is. Our next neighbor, one is confirmed. That one, the probability of 50 being behind it is most likely. That person, who is that person? Who did that person comes in contact with from where they are to their current position? How many persons being infected? You don't know. I don't know. And this is why hand washing, all of that. You not wipe your hands on your trousers and then you finish, you see somebody, you want to shake your hand. The person don't want to shake your hand. Say, yee, look at this one here. We need to come to our senses. We got to say it the hardest way because that's the only language a Liberian can understand. You're too soft, they don't like it. And I think the government taking some measures, we must accommodate them. But I feel, or we feel, that they need to go much further. Ban these unnecessary rallies, piling people together, sweating, sneezing, coughing in one another's faces, and go there and spread those same viruses in the entire community or country, and the whole country becomes polluted. Providers are seeing it. If you have no need, going to the hospital, unless you are going for follow-up, that's fine. Why you think the state, they are stopping even visitations in nursing home? Do you think that's what the people want to do here? To stop people? But sometimes you have to take some tough decision. We are not of the blame game of somebody, either the government or this person not doing this. But this time around, it's real. They can blame whoever they want to blame. But I think the president and the health authority, as they are doing more measures, and the government must lead the way past. Because this week, while they were talking about this thing, I saw more than 100 people that were at the CDC headquarters. And this is where leadership comes into place. Because when you lead your example, people will follow you. And they were chanting. I don't intend to play that video because, as far as I'm concerned, it's meaningless, it's pointless. It would contradict my message here this morning. Because I'm discouraging the act of people assembling for no reason and to turn around to play such a video, and I'm kicking the can down the road. And that's not what I intend to do. But as I saw that video, I was like, oh my God, see what my people are doing. It is out of ignorance. The U.S. and other countries, they are declaring state of a, I'm wondering whether they know what they call state of emergency. Do you think it is often declared by any sovereign nation? So when there's a state of emergency, you don't know that the country is at high risk, something abnormal is unfolding. And I saw Malu there and the people there, we say coronavirus, opposition breaking coronavirus, we will defeat it. Is that something that you can defeat? Do you know what it looks like? Seriously? I think the ruling party, the government of Liberia, they are doing enough. The measures being constituted at the Rabat International Airport is perfect. It's in place. And that's why I'm anxious. And not just only saying it, but I'm happy that we sent an email to the the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, and I talked to the communication director, Mr. Oliver Jatt, yesterday, and he was very cordial. He said, "Okay, Alfonso, this is something we are happy what LPR and African Star is doing. We will reach this message to the executive director, and we have this info. And part of that is to have a genuine conversation, and not just only to constitute measures in Monrovia. Monrovia is just minute of the city. So we are talking about the rest of the 14 political subdivision. What is happening? It's reported in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, in Guinea. My little village is to the border. I want to know what is going on. If those other folks in Monrovia, they think they want to contaminate one another and pollute the city, let them go ahead if they can listen. But I also have interest in knowing what is happening outside of Monrovia. That's the kind of conversations and what we can do as citizens in the diaspora and other parts of the world. A couple of nights ago, I was on this guy program, what his name, Kamara, from Philadelphia. And I listened to this Liberian brother in Europe. I believe it's in Italy. He was calling. And when I listened to his tone, tears were running down in my eyes. He said it's almost like when you have like a coup in the country and there's a state of emergency and the military is in control and nobody is allowed to go out. You only go out when it is necessary. Other than that, you go out there, you will be arrested. Stay where you are. Do not leave your house and just jump in the street because you want to go without any concrete reason. And he was saying, it is only by the mercy of God. You're not going to see it. It's not something that you're going to see from the facial expression. There are a lot of signs and symptoms it comes with. You listened yesterday, the Prime Minister wife of Canada was tested positive. Do you have an idea of such a thing happening? One of the other countries, the doctor. Do you think those people are then taking precaution? So anything can happen. But we all, as people, as nations, we must be very cognizant of our surroundings. Because it is real. It is real. It's no joke. So if you think it's just for fun, it's not for fun. It's real. It's real. And we must do everything possible we can to enhance national government agenda to make sure that this virus is defeated. And that we can continue it because we do not have the ability, we do not have the equipments, we do not have all it takes to handle this. This is the last thing we want it to surface. When Ebola came, we didn't see anything of such what is happening now. It did not happen. It didn't. People are still struggling to get the vaccine in place. Now, to the latest report, something is being laid on with quick result. You think these people are going to leave over millions of people here that's already struggling, going through it, and they say they're going to be focusing on Liberia or some kind of country in the West or whatever in Africa? Well, it will, but it's going to take a time because they have to handle their own problem here first. They have to take care of what is here. The Westerners. Their processes involved. They are hardliners. You can start sending billions or millions of dollars of logistics when you can't even take care of your own people, and then that's the downfall of your administrations. It's not like in third world country where things are done unilaterally. So we expect people to rally it. Opposition, imposition, the government. We expect people to rally it and take some stringent measures. There must be no gathering to more than certain number, if possible, not at distance, at the higher peak of this whole pandemic. And I want for the president to take stringent measure. Whoever opposition or whoever wants to feel any kind of way, that's their business. The security of the countries is paramount. And it is a disgrace to all of these people, the very oppositions and the advocacy community, that I have not seen any statement coming to say, okay, we will cement or we'll rally around government. This is what we're going to do. We are calling on our supporters. But yet and still, people are still interested. They still want to be senator. They're not even thinking to go to their constituencies or even in Morovia there to channel something. I'm happy what the Institute of Public Health is doing in Liberia. And based on the conversation with the communication director, and I'm hoping Dr. Fallat will formally accept our invitation to appear here, and that's just help to enhance the message and measures being put in place. And that's why we here at Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV, we are not sitting there. We're not just talking. As we talk, we do the work as well. I will be right back.
This is a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in Africa. The global pandemic known as COVID-19 and commonly referred to as the coronavirus is threatening nations and economies across the board. For now, the pandemic is wreaking havoc in Western Europe, including Iran. Symptoms of the illness include high fever, dry cough, muscle ache, tiredness, and shortness of breath, which set on after 2 to 14 days exposure to the virus. It is believed that the outbreak epicenter is in the Chinese provincial city of Wuhan, as far back as October-November 2019, when the first patients started exhibiting signs of infection. However, the Chinese authorities tried to suppress reports of the outbreak and denied global authorities the opportunity to initiate early surveillance and containment of the virus. Unfortunately, we are where we are today. Africa is at a real risk. If the virus contamination explodes, thousands of people will get very sick and many will die. The country of Italy has adopted extreme containment measures of closing down the country except for pharmacies and supermarkets. The United States has imposed entry restrictions on most European countries after the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, disclosed that 44 states have confirmed cases of the coronavirus. Most developed countries like the United States and in Europe are struggling to adequately contain the spread and are preparing for worst-case scenarios where thousands and perhaps millions of people become infected and head to medical facilities. This scenario will completely overwhelm their medical facilities. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has indicated that she believes that about 70% of Germans may be infected. Trading on the world major stock market indices are facing serious volatility shock and causing economic uncertainty. Schools are closing and non-essential travel and meetings are being canceled by some companies. African Star and Liberia Public Radio are concerned about the measures adopted by most African countries to respond and contain the pandemic. The stress indicators from the most developed countries and their medical systems point to a need for concern, and undoubtedly, most African nations appear to be ill-prepared if an outbreak should occur. In most African countries, adequate awareness campaigns for basic preventive hygiene, medical facility capabilities, and availability of trained personnel are unknown or woefully inadequate. Although spared from the harsh consequences of the spread of the global pandemic so far, Africa has a duty to fully protect its citizens and fight this disease in collaboration with the international community. This can be achieved through adopting a strategic plan for the worst-case scenario and seeking international assistance and technical help to position the continent to blunt the impact of the disease. African leaders and influential persons must lend their voices to awareness campaigns, personally assure the citizens of support, and make tough decisions on how resources are allocated to fight the disease. Governments must immediately begin the task of infection and prevention and control measures for public transport and places like buses, offices, air and sea vessels, markets, restaurants, etc. Since the capacities of African governments are limited, blanket media campaigns will help to effectively sensitize and inform citizens about preventive measures. In the event of infection, citizens must know the protocol of how and where to go without spreading the infection. The World Health Organization, the WHO, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, recommend the following steps to stay healthy. Avoid cheek kissing or shaking hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Wash your hands more often for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. And avoid visiting hospitals and other medical facilities unless you need medical care. Stay home if you are feeling unwell and cover your cough or sneeze in a napkin. If a napkin is not available, cough or sneeze into the crook of your elbow and then wash your hands after. And clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces and objects with soap and water. Containment of the coronavirus should be the key priority of leaders in Africa. Government resources should be reallocated to effectively prevent infection, including control measures. African Star and Liberia Public Radio support a united and global front to defeat the global pandemic, and we will do all in our powers to sensitize our people in the diaspora and Africa. This has been a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to stop the spread of the coronavirus in Africa.
It was New Year's Eve 2019 when health officials in China admitted they had a problem.
Health authorities have activated their most serious response level
after an outbreak of a new type of viral pneumonia
in central China. A rapidly growing number of people were developing a dry cough and fever before getting pneumonia. And for some, it turned fatal. Doctors have named the disease COVID-19, or coronavirus disease 2019, indicating that a type of virus is causing the illness. When they tried to trace its origin, they found a likely source: this food market in Wuhan. Out of the first 41 patients, 27 had been here. It wasn't conclusive evidence, but Chinese officials quickly shut down the market. They had seen this happen before at a place just like this.
Health officials are trying to get a grip on an alarming outbreak of SARS.
The virus originated in mainland China.
Has spread across the country.
The disease had been festering for months in southern China.
In 2002, a coronavirus had emerged at a very similar market in southern China. It eventually reached 29 countries and killed nearly 800 people. Now, 18 years later, this coronavirus is in at least 71 countries and has already killed over 3,100 people. So what do these markets have to do with the coronavirus outbreak, and why is it happening in China? A lot of the viruses that make us sick actually originate in animals. Some of the viruses that cause the flu come from birds and pigs. HIV/AIDS comes from chimpanzees. The deadly Ebola virus likely originates in bats. And in the case of the 2019 coronavirus, there's some evidence it went from a bat to a pangolin before infecting a human. While viruses are very good at jumping between species, it's rare for a deadly one to make this journey all the way to humans. That's because it would need all these hosts to encounter each other at some point. That's where the Wuhan market comes in. It's a wet market. A kind of place where live animals are slaughtered and sold for consumption.
It was not a surprise at all, and I think that it was not a surprise to many scientists.
Peter Lee is a professor and expert on China's animal trade.
The cages stack above one over another. Animals at the bottom are often soaked with all kinds of liquid, animal excrement, pus, blood, or whatever the liquid they're receiving from the animals above.
That's exactly how a virus can jump from one animal to another. If that animal then comes in contact with or is consumed by a human, the virus could potentially infect them. And if the virus then spreads to other humans, it causes an outbreak. Wet markets are scattered all over the world, but the ones in China are particularly well known because they offer a wide variety of animals, including wildlife. This is a sample menu reportedly from the market in Wuhan. These animals are from all over the world, and each one has the potential to carry its own viruses to the market. The reason all these animals are in the same market is because of a decision China's government made decades ago. Back in the 1970s, China was falling apart. Famine had killed more than 36 million people, and the communist regime...
Okay, so folks, I'm here. Please stay tuned as usual. Manzola Gizit of the Liberia Public Radio Parliament with Manzola will be coming on as usual Sunday, except that we're going to step the time forward. But it is extremely important that we get these informations as they continue to come forward here. I just get an alert from my own ocean state of Rhode Island right here. What I'm broadcasting this afternoon is 11:57 Eastern Standard Time. The governor of Rhode Island just a minute ago in the major news conference right here in the state of Providence. We managed to get this video, and I'm going to be bringing it to you. We want you to know this is real, and this is what I can't wait for Joseph Boyka, Benena Uri, Edizana Combs, and all of those actors in Liberia, their usual press conferences that I'll be having with all of the phones and things going up to start telling their supporters to avoid crowding the place. This is an instant video we just received. We subscribe to this network in order to give us a update on information and bring it directly to you, because Liberians, our head high like rock, like stone. We don't believe anything. Only blame people. Somebody must be responsible of something. This coronavirus is real. And I told you up to date, while we was still on air, 26 countries, African countries, already infected. All of our neighbors, So I wouldn't be surprised if something in Liberia, am I saying I want you to go there? No, but it is real. It is, we must say as it is. But this is a news conference just held right here in my own ocean state of Rhode Island, where the governor of the state of Rhode Island, Governor Gino, took the stage and speak to the ocean state of Rhode Island. John Crowther, if you are here, I'm quite sure this is something that you also want to listen to. Let's play this video to Madam Dennis. I want to welcome you. Let's play this video to Vivian Stevens as well, wherever you are watching. Let's play this video, the update. That's the latest update. A minute ago, while I was on a break and received it, and I just could not wait to play this just to bring it to you visually to see how authentic, how real. They are not taking this coronavirus for joke. And in as much they are not taking it for joke, when we sit on these podcasts and this information outlet, we must also enforce and re-echo what world leaders and national leaders are saying, measures being instituted, and that's exactly what we want to see happening. But let me listen to my own governor right here and hear what she has to say. I will be right back.
Good afternoon, I'm Kate Walsh. Governor Gina Raimondo is giving us her daily update on the coronavirus today. She's just stepped up to the podium at the Department of Administration. Let's listen in.
As we continue to fight the coronavirus, I again want to begin by thanking all of the hardworking state employees who are helping us. Initially, I was especially thanking the folks here at the Department of Health, and I want to reiterate that, although Rhode Islanders should know that now we have mobilized a response to coronavirus that is a total government response. Not just the Department of Health. We have activated the Emergency Operations Center. We're integrating with the National Guard. Our entire HHS infrastructure is activated. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who's working overtime this weekend and through the week to make sure that we meet the needs of Rhode Islanders in this extraordinarily trying time. I'll begin by announcing that this morning we've learned that we have 6 new positive cases here in Rhode Island for a total of 20, and Dr. Nicole Alexander Scott will be addressing the details of these additional cases in just a few minutes. I do want to reiterate, this shouldn't surprise anyone. I fully expect that now that I'm doing daily press briefings each day, when I come here, there will be more cases. Rhode Islanders should know that. The number of cases will depend on each and every one of us and whether we're doing what we've been asked to do, staying home when we're sick, social distancing, and avoiding crowds. That is our only hope if we're going to spread out the curve and make sure that we don't have a spike. I'd like to make a few special messages. First, I would like to speak to the students, particularly the high school students and college students who will not have school next week. This isn't a time to take vacation and get together with all of your friends or meet out at a restaurant or meet out at a bar or meet out and go together. If you are doing that, you are missing the point of taking the week off. So I know this is inconvenient. I'm hearing about it from my own teenagers. It's a time to hunker down in your homes, stay home, avoid crowds, watch movies at home, but please don't take this as an opportunity to get together with all of your friends in gatherings and in close contact. That will defeat the purpose of everything that we're trying to do. I will continue to reiterate to everybody, hand washing is essential. I have been out, people are very well-meaning. It's a natural human interaction to reach out and touch somebody, to hug somebody. Please cut it out and avoid contact as much as possible. Absolutely, 100%, if you are sick, even a little bit sick, people are saying, what if I have the sniffles? Stay home. Do not go to work. Do not go to large gatherings. Please, we're imploring you. The faster everybody complies, the better we will all be. Excuse me. People have said, well, I'm willing to take the risk. it's not just about you. It's about the fact that you will spread this to your friends and neighbors and loved ones, and we need to shut this virus down as quickly as possible. At this point in time, Rhode Island is actually quite fortunate in that we have a limited number of cases, and we have our ability to smooth the curve depends on everyone heeding this advice, which I recognize is radical, and we've never lived through it before, but it's what we have to do to help one another. If you have to go to the grocery store, I understand that. Go. Avoid crowds, wash your hands. If you're over 60, avoid the grocery store, avoid going out. If you have an underlying medical condition, avoid going out of your house, and call us if you need a hand to have access to food or medication. A few other special announcements. This is a weekend. This is a weekend when many, many people are accustomed to attending church or synagogue or services or mass, and I'm going to be asking for some extraordinary cooperation, which I recognize is very difficult. And this is difficult for me as well. My family and I go to church every weekend and rely upon our faith community for support. But I'm going to be asking Rhode Islanders to avoid large gatherings. That includes church, that includes any kind of faith-based gathering. I also want to reiterate the CDC's messaging to people 60 and above is to avoid gatherings of 10 people or more. This is serious. I know it's difficult. I can hear my mother now, who's never missed a day of Mass in her life, but who's over 60. You have to stay home for your own health and the health of everyone around you. I have spoken this morning to Bishop Knisley of the Episcopal Diocese and Bishop Tobin of the Catholic Diocese. First of all, I want to thank both of them. They have been incredibly cooperative and collaborative, and I'd like to thank them both for their cooperation. Both bishops have put out statements to their congregations that folks over 60 and those with health conditions really should not attend Mass this weekend or next weekend. They have also both put out guidance to their pastors that it is within their discretion to cancel Mass and services this weekend and next weekend. I want to be clear that that's what the bishops have said, and I want to thank them for their cooperation. My guidance, and the guidance of Director Alexander Scott, is for pastors to cancel Masses and services this weekend, not as a matter of faith, but as a matter of public health. Again, the quicker we react, the better we will be. This weekend in particular is an especially important weekend as we're in the early stages of trying to shut down this crisis. A few special notes about health care. I have said many, many times, and I still believe this, no Rhode Islander should have to choose between getting their health care or buying their groceries. That's a fact. And fortunately, here in Rhode Island, we've done a pretty good job of this, and 97% of Rhode Islanders have health insurance. That it has never been more important than it is right now. Every Rhode Islander needs to be able to access the medical care and mental health care that they need in order to get through the coronavirus crisis. To that end, I am now announcing several additional measures to ensure that every Rhode Islander has access to the health care that they need and deserve. First of all, I'm announcing that Health Source Rhode Island, Rhode Island's health exchange, is opening a special enrollment period to allow Rhode Islanders to purchase coverage. Now, the good news is very few Rhode Islanders don't have coverage, but if you are one of the Rhode Islanders, the 3%, who finds yourself without coverage, we are opening a special enrollment period right now through to April 15th for you to go on the health exchange and purchase your coverage. For anyone who's concerned that they need to be tested for coronavirus, we will ensure, or to be treated for coronavirus, we will ensure that your coverage is applied retroactively. So if you get on the health exchange on Monday and you purchase your coverage, we will ensure that if you've already received treatment, it will be covered retroactively. I also want to make sure that no one is confused about what their health plan will and won't cover at this time. So I'm announcing the following additional measures that we've taken as a state, effective immediately. As of now, we are ordering all health insurers in the state of Rhode Island, including Medicaid, to protect access to care while the period of the state of emergency is in place. Because we are asking everybody to stay home, it is more important than ever that we provide coverage for telemedicine for both medical care and mental care. So we are ordering that all insurers, including Medicaid, must allow patients to seek primary care and mental health care through telemedicine, remotely. I want to be clear what this includes. This includes a simple phone call, an audio phone call. It also includes video components. So if you have a smartphone and you want to use FaceTime or some other video component, that must be covered by your mental health professional and your medical primary care physician. That is a direct order from the Health Insurance Commissioner, who was with me today. We need to hear from you, Rhode Islanders, if that isn't being allowed to you, because that is now what we are ordering. Furthermore, we are also ordering that there will be no out-of-pocket expenses for anyone associated with coronavirus testing. You should not have to dip into your pocket to be tested. No copays are allowed at this time. Furthermore, the state's requiring coverage for advanced prescription refills and medical supplies before refill dates, so patients will be able to maintain at least a 30-day supply at home. Finally, we are ordering that insurers are required to reduce barriers to services related to coronavirus that impede necessary care, including requirements for specialist referrals and including prior authorizations. Everything I just said is designed to do two things. Number one, to enable Rhode Islanders to stay home. We're ordering Rhode Islanders to stay home, but they need to be able to access their prescriptions and their health care from home, which means insurers must obey this order and allow people to access medicine and prescriptions from home. Secondly, it ensures that everybody, regardless of income level and insurance kind, has access to the treatment and diagnostics for coronavirus. I'd like to reiterate that if the people of Rhode Island start to have a different experience, their providers aren't providing this, or insurance companies are requiring pre-authorization or making it difficult, we need to know about it, because we will enforce these orders. I'd like to thank a few people. First, a special thank you to Marie Ganem, who is who runs our Office of Health Insurance. She's the Health Insurance Commissioner. She's worked overtime to get this done. I believe we're one of the only states in America that has this sort of an order out right now, so thank you, Marie, for your extraordinary work. I also want to thank the health insurers. They have been especially cooperative in allowing us to make this announcement today. I would like to make a special thank you to two of our local insurers.
Okay,
Aetna,
there
CVS,
you have
Aetna,
it, folks.
And Blue Cross Blue Shield.
There you have it. This is what we love doing. We'd like to be part of a community engagement, a community participation by means of exchange of information. And so if you are within the belt of the ocean state of Rhode Island, that's Governor Gina Trimando speaking to Rhode Islanders here in my own ocean state. You listen to her clearly in your own words, cases now up to what? 20 cases confirmed here in Rhode Island. So this is where the leadership comes in. And I was just calling on some of our people. We're just getting some information here from Mamonint, who also works with the state laboratory right here in neighboring state of Massachusetts. I put in all of the breakdown there as well. This is just to re-echo, it is real. And I'm wondering where is our community leaders to also send this sort of memo out as they monitor news, what is happening. A huge Liberian community here, over if not, I don't know the up-to-date statistic, but could be one of the highest populations of Liberians, if not the second, but the highest here in the United States. People here in Rhode Island. And I'm anxious to see where my own I wish I could call in, but I'm in the city. Yeah, obviously then that's what I'm going to do with time. But I want to find time here. Thank you for those information that you are sending in at my morning. Dennis is one of the community activists and always involved in community initiative. Thank you. That's another source of outreach right there, telling us, breaking them down, the various counties and cities here within the Bay State of Massachusetts. So this is real. And this is why we are calling on stakeholders, and even not just stakeholders, leaders that are these organizational leaders here in this country, in the U.S., or the Facebook blocker, or this is when we're supposed to start seeing live Facebook of some sort of educational outreach about this coronavirus. To help, that's what she said. You listen to the government, the governor here. If you are a person who can hawk, cut it off. Plain. There's no salad dressing. Plain. Cut it off. No handshaking. If you are sick, you do not have to go to work. There are plans in place. And, we say life is a risk, but hey, she made it clear. The churches are involved. She communicated with the churches, and they were very much reciprocal. And they have sent a memo out to telling their members, not denying them of their right to worship, but hey, you want to have a healthy environment. You don't want to have your church or your institution contaminated and people dying, then you won't even have a sanctuary. And they have responded. All right? So this is what we're supposed to be doing. Whatever county organization, this is where people are supposed to start going live Facebook. Because of XY situation now, let all of us suspend this until we can hear from the authorities on the progress of this virus. How many of them? People go live to just cuss. All the advocates of Elizana Comey, Joseph Boyka, George Weah, Benana Ure, it's time to go do your live screaming and tell people this is real. We need to put aside the politics and avoid crowded places and communicate that in Liberia as well. And that's what I'm waiting for them to have their regular press, their conferences, they always have, the COP, the WOP, the Council of Patriots. It's time to do your live broadcast to educate the Liberians, to also tell them the danger that this virus, it hangs over all of us. You want a healthy society. It's time to get that done. It's time to build that crowd that you can build and communicate with them. How many of them are willing to do it? It's time for them to call their press briefing and maybe have 2 or 3 journalists and tell them, hey, this is real. All of our supporters from now on, no sao. Nobody put backpacks on their back and go to this party headquarters, to this assembling place together. And you heard the governor there. You don't want to take because you are a risk taker, you go there and you start distributing it to everybody. That would be unfair. And this is why everybody, all of us, we have to get involved. Maybe moving forward, I'll be putting it in my own dialect, in the Crown dialect. And then maybe we'll call somebody from the Bassa side to be doing it. We'll call somebody from the Lofa side to be doing it. Good, we have Mazola Gisi here. He can be doing it. Mike Dunn is in Liberia. We're going to have him maybe to start doing it from the Nima side to create that awareness. And I was told by our correspondent, he was in Nima, that there's some sort of public health awareness is ongoing. And I think we need to extensively build this sort of coalition as well, from here to get it to there, and for them to expand it in the urban Liberia. This is scary. We never saw what we are seeing unfolding now. It was never seen during the Ebola crisis. The country is in a state of emergency. That speaks volumes. It tells you how urgent, how desperate, how volatile this situation is. Churches are cooperating. I'm waiting to see whether the opposition group and all the other groups will also cooperate and put aside politics and look at national cause. This is a call to action by all of us who must participate into this process by creating an awareness, by discouraging to people that want to assemble in large crowd for no reason. We do not have to wait for the National Health Institute or Public Health to tell us there are 1 or 2 cases here before we take measures. I think they are getting ahead of the game. It's good, so we need to support that they are initiated, and we want to call on all of the stakeholders to support such an initiative by them as well, because it's in the interest of the Liberian people. It's 12:20 Eastern Standard Time here. Like I say, I'm not here to talk about who's going to be senator, because in the absence of this whole thing here, if the if the coronavirus is not subsided, you think you're going to have election? Who will go there? Nobody. So we are not here to sugarcoat anything. We will tell you what you need to know and what is necessary, not necessarily what you want to hear. That's our job. I'm Alfonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRO TV. For those of you training down with us here this morning, afternoon, wherever you are, my own dear brother and friend, Creoman Thomas Bobe. Unakusha Obo, I know it is also confirmed in your own state of Utah. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. This is not a makeup. It's everywhere. So we must be a watch of ourselves. We must watch our own backs. It is extremely, extremely important. I want to thank you so much. I will be making way. I'm not sure, but the lover boy Mazola Gisi will be coming on with his regular editions of Dancing for Jesus, Sunday edition. And we will continue to push this line as well. My morning, Dennis, thank you so much for those pieces of information that you have provided for us. Very much educated, very much rewarding, and very much informing as well. And so we will continue to bring this information as it unfolds. And hey, it's just not on a prayer. I talked to my auntie yesterday, said we pray. If you pray and then you leave from there, you'll go meet in 1,000, then the prayer is in vain. Then there's no need to pray. It's not all about praying and fasting. It's about following the protocols. Do not go places you have no business of going. Do not assemble. It's not time for party. It's not time to gang up as a group. And we need to discourage that. We need to tell them. And we want our leaders to say this to their supporters, because people tend to listen to their folks that they follow. And so this is a challenge to all of the stakeholders, the group, interest group, players, actors in Liberia. And even here in the USA, whatever media outlet that you have, this should be the kind of message that we should be preaching to tell our people. It is real. And if we want them to believe it is real, we must act here, we must exhibit it, we must show it, we must prove it. We shouldn't tell them don't assemble and then they start saying live Facebook and car. Well, we're powdering the hair tie, then covering back windshield of the car and all of that, and you tell them not to do it, they won't listen. So we don't want to do it like a preacher man here. We are not here to sugarcoat things, and that's who we are. We represent the true quality of Liberia. We intend not to be a news outlet that will be compromised. We are here to inform, to educate, to entertain, and tell you what you need to know. Not necessarily what interests you, what you want to hear to satisfy your curiosity. That's not who we are. Then probably you are wrongly situated. I want to leave here this morning, afternoon here. It's 12:24, and I'm going to be making way for the lover boards from the Annex 8 of the Liberia Public Radio and LPRO TV. Thank you so much. I will be back here on Tuesday, same time, same station on this network for another editions of your regular programming from the Liberia Public Radio and LPRO TV. Have a pleasant Sunday. Please wash your hands. Avoid hug, avoid handshaking. Follow the protocols. Listen to news to be on top of issue. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
That causes COVID-19 and keep it locked under the strictest of security.
So now we're going into the main lab, and inside this lab here is where we keep the live virus.
The live viruses?
The live virus,
so
yes.
The most dangerous things that you have at this facility?
Exactly. This is the virus that was isolated from the sick patients, and now it's housed in this lab here.
Australian Dr. Danielle Anderson is one of the world's top virologists with 20 years work in the field and at America's most prestigious universities.
What surprised you about this virus?
The spread of this is really, really surprising. We've seen outbreaks in the past. We think we know what we're doing. And so for me, it's a really, really big surprise.
Why is it spreading so quickly?
So it seems that it's extremely contagious, and it's not airborne, but it is contagious.
Dr. Anderson took me to another part of the facility to show me where the virus came from. Bats gathered in China for food. A vet here captured one, and in a containment cage, she showed it to me.
And why bats? How confident are you that the coronavirus came from bats?
So I'm probably 90% confident that the new coronavirus came from bats.
The initial contamination, she says, likely happened here at a filthy animal market in Wuhan, China. Someone there, she believes, butchered a bat, came into contact with its blood or urine, and then touched his or her mouth or nose. We know the rest. Outbreaks still spreading around the world. In South Korea, they're disinfecting public transport. In China, authorities promise to crack down hard on the wildlife trade, and they're preparing to take containment to a new level. This video shows security forces training to capture a suspected infected person, a sign of what could be coming.
Do you think it's going to keep spreading?
I think that it is heading towards becoming a pandemic, yes. We have to work hard for a vaccine and learn to live with the virus, and I think it's just going to become part of our life.
Richard Engel, NBC News, Singapore.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here.
Will be checked, and right from there, they are taken to a place where later on they are released. And measure is put in place here, and I mean, we do it without any form of harassment, without any form of intimidation. The same way you come to the country when there was no coronavirus, it's the same way we carry out our normal routine. There is no need of being afraid. There's no fear.
The observation centers have already released several people that completed the quarantine period without any signs and symptoms of the illness.
And we took one step further. We introduced a form of quarantine that we call precautionary observation. Since the 2nd of February, all those coming from country with high and widespread transmission are taken from the airport to a place we call our precautionary observation center. We have had 150 persons go through that we've been monitoring. After 14 days, they are discharged.
The country has also beefed up its readiness by setting up a specialized laboratory to test coronavirus cases in the country. This contrasts with the serious problem faced in the early stages of the Ebola outbreak, that Liberia had to send specimens out of the country to get tested, and it took days for the results to be available.
Our ability to test for corona is based on the fact that after Ebola, we now have the ability to test for Ebola that we do routinely in Lassa. So it is that same platform we just added when they send us a chemical in the region to test for corona. So we have had an infrastructure in place, people are aware based on the Ebola, and it's those opportunities that we are building upon to help us.
Are there mechanisms for proactive collaboration with the neighboring countries in the sub-region as was done during the Ebola outbreak?
Again, as a result of learning from Ebola, some 2 years ago we met in Freetown under the auspices of IOM and USCDC to do cross-border collaboration. That was Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and the Ivory Coast. We created a platform. In fact, as I'm speaking to you now, there is a WhatsApp platform that we're having actively going on. We are going to have a conference call sometime tomorrow. So we call it POE, MROU POE. That's one thing we activated right now. But in direct connection, we also managed to work with our Freetown colleague one-on-one day. My counterpart in Freetown, that family and I have a daily update. Anyone coming from the country of concern that arrive in Freetown gets quarantine. Anyone that comes from there here gets quarantine. And then we had 3 students who came from China, but they were Sierra Leone, and they came in Liberia. We quarantined them for 14 days after.
This is a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in Africa. The global pandemic known as COVID-19 and commonly referred to as the coronavirus is threatening nations and economies across the board. For now, the pandemic is wreaking havoc in Western Europe, including Iran. Symptoms of the illness include high fever, dry cough, muscle ache, tiredness, and shortness of breath, which set on after 2 to 14 days exposure to the virus. It is believed that the outbreak epicenter is in the Chinese provincial city of Wuhan, as far back as October-November 2019, when the first patients started exhibiting signs of infection. However, the Chinese authorities tried to suppress reports of the outbreak and denied global authorities the opportunity to initiate early surveillance and containment of the virus. Unfortunately, we are where we are today. Africa is at a real risk. If the virus contamination explodes, thousands of people will get very sick and many will die. The country of Italy has adopted extreme containment measures of closing down the country except for pharmacies and supermarkets. The United States has imposed entry restrictions on most European countries after the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, disclosed that 44 states have confirmed cases of the coronavirus. Most developed countries like the United States and in Europe are struggling to adequately contain the spread and are preparing for worst-case scenarios where thousands and perhaps millions of people become infected and head to medical facilities. This scenario will completely overwhelm their medical facilities. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel has indicated that she believes that about 70% of Germans may be infected. Trading on the world major stock market indices are facing serious volatility shock and causing economic uncertainty. Schools are closing and non-essential travel and meetings are being canceled by some companies. African Star and Liberia Public Radio are concerned about the measures adopted by most African countries to respond and contain the pandemic. The stress indicators from the most developed countries and their medical systems point to a need for concern, and undoubtedly, most African nations appear to be ill-prepared if an outbreak should occur. In most African countries, adequate awareness campaigns for basic preventive hygiene, medical facility capabilities, and availability of trained personnel are unknown or woefully inadequate. Although spared from the harsh consequences of the spread of the global pandemic so far, Africa has a duty to fully protect its citizens and fight this disease in collaboration with the international community. This can be achieved through adopting a strategic plan for the worst-case scenario and seeking international assistance and technical help to position the continent to blunt the impact of the disease. African leaders and influential persons must lend their voices to awareness campaigns, personally assure the citizens of support, and make tough decisions on how resources are allocated to fight the disease. Governments must immediately begin the task of infection and prevention and control measures for public transport and places like buses, offices, air and sea vessels, markets, restaurants, etc. Since the capacities of African governments are limited, blanket media campaigns will help to effectively sensitize and inform citizens about preventive measures. In the event of infection, citizens must know the protocol of how and where to go without spreading the infection. The World Health Organization, the WHO, and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, recommend the following steps to stay healthy. Avoid cheek kissing or shaking hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Wash your hands more often for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. And avoid visiting hospitals and other medical facilities unless you need medical care. Stay home if you are feeling unwell and cover your cough or sneeze in a napkin. If a napkin is not available, cough or sneeze into the crook of your elbow and then wash your hands after. And clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces and objects with soap and water. Containment of the coronavirus should be the key priority of leaders in Africa. Government resources should be reallocated to effectively prevent infection, including control measures. African Star and Liberia Public Radio support a united and global front to defeat the global pandemic, and we will do all in our powers to sensitize our people in the diaspora and Africa. This has been a special commentary from African Star in collaboration with Liberia Public Radio. A call to action to stop the spread of the coronavirus in Africa.
Untamete, I will never die. Untamete, untimely death is not my portion. I shall never die, man. Hey, premature death, it's not my portion. I will never die, man. Oh, I will never die. I will never die. Hey, my brother, my sister, listen to this story. The story of one woman who got her children one morning. Hey, she said, my children, I am going to the market. She got only the older son. She said, when you come back from school, tell your junior brother you food to the house. When you finish it, take the basket to the market. She said, come and carry the food stuff. She said, come and carry the food stuff. She told them, you will have to be careful. I am the only one taking care of you. Since your father died in the war, yeah, I am the only one taking care of you. My people, this woman went to the market. As she was about to cross the motor road, hey, how can I this woman die? So many people rush at this woman. Hey, they rush this woman to the hospital. But before they would get to the hospital, this woman was gone. Yeah, untimely death. The woman have not reaped the benefit of her children. Okay, when Johnny came from school, he finished it. Oh, he told his brethren. He said, look, I am going to the market. Please, you have to be careful at home. When Johnny got close to the market, my people, so many people were calling him. Hey, he said, Johnny, Johnny, come. Johnny, Johnny, come. This little boy began to wonder. So somebody go here telling the story. I cannot thank your mother just now. Before we rush her to the hospital, this woman was gone. The little boy began to cry. Oh, I am now a motherless child. I am now a fatherless child. Jehovah, who will take care of me? Hey, untimely death is not my portion. My brother, me, I will never die. I will live to fulfill my days on earth, man. I will never die before my time. I say, wish God, hear me now. I am the apple of Jehovah's eyes. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Oh yes, I must live to fulfill my days. Oh, I will never die. Untamete, I will never die. Untamete.
Though knew her name, great be her fame, and mighty be her power. Though knew her name, great be her fame, and mighty be her power. And mighty be her power, and mighty be her power. 1, 2, 3, 4, enjoy and gladness with our hearts united. We'll shout the freedom of our rights united. Long live Liberia, happy land, this home of glory, liberty of God's command. This home of glory, liberty of God's command.